Picture this. You're in a quiet room, and it happens. A pair of eyes, wide and unblinking. They lock onto yours. It's a baby, and it's staring. You know the feeling, that strange, intense, almost unnerving gaze. We usually just write it off as curiosity, a blank stare, innocence. But the science, well, it tells a very different story, a much darker and way more calculated one.
What if that gaze isn't just a baby looking at you? What if it's a baby looking into you, accessing you? What if it's not some sweet moment of connection, but an act of profound and desperate manipulation? Okay, let's really get into this. Because think about it. Thousands of years of evolution didn't give babies those big, round, irresistible eyes by accident. It was by design. That stare isn't a passive glance. It's a biological hack, and it was perfected over millennia for one single purpose: survival.
To really get the stare, you first have to understand the battlefield a human infant is born into. I mean, they're uniquely helpless for an incredibly long time. To survive, they needed a weapon, and evolution gave them a brilliant one: your own brain.
It all starts with this concept called Kenshin schema, or the baby schema. Those big eyes, the round face, the tiny nose, they're not just cute by chance. Oh no, they are a specific set of visual triggers engineered to hijack your brain, flooding it with nurturing impulses and basically forcing you to protect them. It's a command you just can't ignore. It's hardwired.
But here's the thing, and this is crucial. For a human baby with that slow developing brain and such a long time being dependent, one caregiver's protection, it was never going to be enough. A mother's care is a start for sure, but in the brutal math of evolution, it's a losing strategy. Our survival as a species was really built on this idea: allo-parenting. You've got fathers, grandmothers, siblings, the whole community pitching in to care for the young. This is what let our ancestors have more kids faster and conquer the world. But how do you convince a whole bunch of people to pour their energy and resources into someone else's kid? You deploy the weapon. The stare is the baby's #1 tool for recruiting that entire network of helpers. It's an active, targeted signal designed to set off those caregiving instincts in everyone it lands on. It's basically an advertisement that just says, "I am helpless, you must protect me." But getting you on their side is just the beginning. What happens when you actually return that gaze is way more shocking. It's not just an emotional connection. We're talking about a neurological one. And researchers at Cambridge discovered something that is truly mind-bending. Okay, get this. Using brain scanning tech, researchers found that when a baby and an adult make eye contact, their brainwaves literally synchronize. The same rhythms, firing at the same frequencies across two totally separate brains. It's called neural coupling. And the moment the adult looks away, the connection is broken. The sync is gone. Just think about what that means. The baby isn't just looking at you, its developing brain is locking directly onto your mature one. It's using your brain's activity as a living blueprint, a scaffold to build its own mind. That stare is literally how one human brain teaches another human brain how to become fully human. So this mind meld helps a baby understand its main caregivers. But what about everyone else? Why does that stare sometimes seem even more intense when it's aimed at a stranger? Well, the answer reveals the stare isn't just for bonding, it's for collecting data. Research out of Harvard Medical School found that babies consistently stare longer at a stranger's face than they do at their own mother's. Now that sounds completely backward, right? You'd think they'd focus on the comfort of someone they know, but nope, that's not what's going on at all. It's something called the violation of expectation response. To a baby, a stranger is a puzzle, a mountain of new, unprocessed data. The baby's brain is working overtime trying to decode this new face, to fit it into its growing map of the world. So that intense stare, that's the feeling of a tiny brain on fire trying to solve a problem. It's not affection, it's cognitive overload. So if the stare is a biological necessity for recruitment, for brain building, for gathering data, what happens when that connection is just severed? What happens when nobody stares back? An experiment from way back in 1975 gave us a really chilling answer. It's called the still face paradigm. So a mother is playing with her baby, smiling, talking, responding. The connection is there, it's perfect. Then suddenly she goes completely blank, a still face. No expression, no response. The baby picks up on it instantly.
It tries everything, smiling, pointing, making noises, desperately trying to get that connection back. When nothing works, the baby just falls apart. Utter distress. Some cry, others just completely withdraw.
And how fast does this crisis hit? Within just 9 seconds of that gaze being broken, most babies show real, measurable physiological stress. Their heart rate shoots up, the cortisol levels, the stress hormone, they spike. 9 seconds. That's how fast the absence of a returned gaze triggers a full-blown biological panic. The still face experiment proved, without a doubt, that babies are not passive observers. They are active, essential partners in a social conversation. Their stare is an opening line. It's an urgent question. I see you. Do you see me? And they absolutely require an answer. This desperate need for a returned gaze revealed something huge about the human mind. But it also, completely unexpectedly, opened the door to a new, multi-million-dollar field of medical science. Because if you think about it, if the presence of a stare is such a critical signal for development, then the consistent absence of that stare has to be an equally critical signal, and a much more worrying one. And this, right here, is the stare's million-dollar secret. A reduced or absent gaze is one of the earliest and most reliable biomarkers for conditions like autism spectrum disorder. And that discovery has fueled an entire industry of commercial eye tracking technology. It's all designed to quantify that gaze, to spot the children who aren't making that crucial connection. And it allows for diagnosis at an age when the brain's ability to change is at its absolute peak, making life-changing intervention truly possible. Okay, so we've seen the stare as a weapon, as a mind meld, a learning tool, and a diagnostic key. But what does all of this really mean for you the next time a baby locks its eyes on yours? It means this. Every smile you return, every single moment you hold that gaze, you're doing so much more than just being kind. MIT researchers found that this back and forth, face-to-face interaction physically builds the prefrontal cortex. That's the command center for planning, for emotional regulation, for social skills. You are literally doing construction work on the hardware that will run their mind for the rest of their life.
So the next time it happens, remember what you're really seeing. It is not an empty glance. It's an active signal, a biological request reaching across all of human evolution. The most sophisticated social interface ever designed is looking right at you, asking for a connection. The only question is, what are you going to say back?